For 4 years, I, Ethan, 34, lived in a carefully constructed lie, that my marriage to Isabella was perfect, built on unwavering trust. It all shattered one Tuesday afternoon in April. My car broke down, bringing me home 5 hours early, and I found Isabella laughing in our living room with my brother, Leo. Their posture, their sudden, guilty jump apart, it was a silent explosion. That moment changed everything. What did I uncover next? Not just an affair, but months of fabricated, work emergencies, secret cash withdrawals for their rendezvous, and Isabella's stomach bug, a pregnancy. The truth, meticulously hidden, unraveled in less than 48 hours. Yet, my own mother, Camilla, sat at the head table of our company gala, sipping champagne, completely unaware of the legal storm about to break around her. Before I tell you what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story resonates with you, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. When the hotel acquisition project wrapped in March, early and under budget, I was ready for things to return to normal. It was a huge win for the company. But coming home, I quickly realized something had changed. Isabella was still constantly working late, covering shifts, dealing with sudden emergencies. Except now that I was around more, I noticed strange things like the $250 she withdrew every Friday. When I asked, she brushed it off. Girls' nights. I use cash so I don't overspend. It sounded reasonable until I remembered how we used to track every expense together. Now she was taking out money weekly without saying a word. Then there was her phone always in her hand, smiling at the screen, but the moment I walked in, she'd lock it or flip it over. I asked who she was always messaging. The answer was always the same. Work group chat, nothing important. By April, I started noticing physical signs, too. Isabella was throwing up every morning. I asked if she was okay. She blamed a stomach bug at work and told me she was seeing a doctor, but insisted I shouldn't come. She didn't know I had been tracking her cycle ever since we started trying for a baby. She was 3 weeks late. That had never happened before. When I brought it up, her reaction was explosive. "Why are you monitoring my body like I'm some experiment?" She snapped. "I can handle myself. Stop trying to control me." Her outrage came out of nowhere, especially considering we'd been tracking everything together for months. The shift was glaring. At the same time, I noticed something odd about my mom, Camilla. She stopped calling our house phone and started talking to Isabella directly. Their calls were long, whispered, and always private out in the yard behind closed doors. Once I heard my mom say, "He can't find out." Through the bedroom door. My mom and Isabella had never been close. Suddenly, they were thick as thieves. One day, I walked into the kitchen while they were on speakerphone. My mother's tone immediately shifted. "Oh, Ethan's home. We'll talk later," she said and hung up. That moment flipped a switch in me. I started paying attention to everything. Isabella's hospital stories stopped making sense. She'd claimed she worked a 12-hour trauma shift, but she'd come home looking fresh. No blood, no antiseptic smell, no exhaustion. It didn't add up. Then one Tuesday in April, my car broke down and I caught a ride home with one of my team leads. I walked in around 2 p.m. 5 hours earlier than usual and heard laughter. Isabella was laughing in a way I hadn't heard in months. I rounded the corner and found her sitting far too close to Leo on the couch. Their posture screamed intimacy. When they noticed me, they jumped apart like guilty teenagers. Isabella's face went pale. "What are you doing home?" Leo fumbled, spilling his coffee. "I was just in the neighborhood. Thought she might need company." He handed me a coffee, trying to play it off as thoughtful. I didn't say a word. But inside, I was burning. That night, I couldn't sleep. My gut told me the truth was right in front of me. Her erratic hours, the hidden calls, the pregnancy symptoms, Leo suddenly playing the concerned brother-in-law. It was all starting to make sense. The next morning, I dug in. I checked Leo's company vehicle records. We tracked every company car through GPS. Over the past few months, his logs showed him visiting our neighborhood repeatedly during my work hours and places like upscale restaurants and boutique hotels in Buckhead. None of it tied to any company business. And that was just the beginning. Then I pulled up our shared calendar. The overlap was immediate and undeniable. Every time Leo's car appeared somewhere suspicious, Isabella's schedule suddenly changed, too. Extra shifts, last-minute calls from the hospital, emergencies that couldn't wait. I didn't stop there. I dug into our joint bank account going back 4 full months. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Every Friday, she withdrew exactly $250 in cash, and now I noticed payments to luxury restaurants and boutique hotels in Buckhead. On days she claimed to be pulling doubles at the hospital, $200 at a high-end steakhouse on a Wednesday, $250 at a luxury resort for tea on a Thursday when she said she had training, $100 for brunch at a hotel bistro on a Sunday. She supposedly covered a sick colleague's shift. I started logging everything. A detailed daily account of her stated plans versus what the data showed. The more I documented, the clearer it became. To confirm my suspicions, I called her hospital. I posed as a relative with an urgent family emergency and asked to be transferred to Isabella's department. The front desk nurse politely told me Isabella wasn't on shift and hadn't been for 3 days. It was a Wednesday. Isabella had told me she'd just worked a 12-hour Tuesday and was heading in again that evening. That was the moment the veil lifted. The next day, I told Isabella the first was staying home with a stomach bug. She left for what she claimed was a mandatory safety training. The second the door closed, I went straight to our shared family computer. We'd always used the same password. Team Isabella 2019, a cheesy souvenir from our last anniversary trip. I logged into her email, heart pounding, hands trembling. Right there at the top was a thread between her and my mother. Subject line, making sure Ethan never finds out. I froze. Just reading those words made me nauseous, but I forced myself to open it. There were months of messages. It started slow, February. My mom asked if Isabella was certain about what was happening. She advised her to be cautious, saying maybe it was just a phase. But within weeks, the tone shifted. They began strategizing. My mother was actively coaching her on how to lie to me, suggestions for excuses, what shifts to claim, when to say she was stuck at work, even offering suites at one of the family hotels as a rendezvous location when my dad had late meetings or golf games. One email from March hit like a freight train. Victor's weekly meeting is Thursdays at 2 o'clock. He'll be gone until at least 6 o'clock. If you park behind the alley, Leo can come through the service entrance. I'll make sure no staff notice anything. Another, say you're working a night shift Tuesday. Victor will be with clients until 10 o'clock. The hotel suite will be empty. Leo told his roommate he's on a job site overnight. Then came the discussion about the pregnancy. In April, Isabella had a confirmed appointment with her OBGYN, 8 weeks along, but there was uncertainty about the father. My mother's reply was vile. Doesn't matter. Let Ethan think the baby's his. He'll step up. Leo isn't ready for a child. Ethan has the job, the house, the stability. He'll make a better father anyway. Another one. Leo isn't built for real responsibility. This works out best for all of us. You get financial security. Leo doesn't get tied down. Ethan gets what he's always wanted, a family. Isabella pushed back, unsure. But what if Ethan notices the baby looks like Leo? What if he figures it out? My mother responded coldly, we'll deal with it later. Just keep him convinced everything's normal. Sleep with him often enough to keep the timeline plausible. I sat there for hours, reading every word. My pulse wouldn't slow down. The betrayal was so deep, it didn't even feel real. My wife, my brother, and my own mother conspiring behind my back. Building a reality for me to live in, one carefully engineered lie at a time. I copied every incriminating message, screenshot, and receipt. Transferred it all to a USB and printed the worst of it out. My hands trembled, but my thoughts were razor sharp. These people, my wife, my brother, and my own mother, had been quietly dismantling my life for months, believing I'd never see it coming. They thought they were clever. They weren't. I called my father, Victor, right away. Dad, I need to meet at your office. Now, it's urgent and I can't explain over the phone. 20 minutes later, I was in his office dropping the truth on his desk. Everything. Isabella's affair, the pregnancy, Leo's involvement, and the fact that Mom hadn't just known about it. She'd helped coordinate it. My father said nothing for a long time. He just sat there absorbing the weight of it all. When he finally spoke, his voice was disturbingly even, cold, composed. "This is war," he said. "Meet me at Evelyn's office in 2 hours. Don't say a word to anyone. We're locking this down legally before anything else." Evelyn Reed had been our corporate attorney for years. A meticulous woman with a reputation for being absolutely ruthless in court, especially during divorces. Dad had already called ahead. Evelyn had cleared her calendar. Inside her office, we spread out all the evidence like we were preparing a courtroom assault. She reviewed every document with a cold efficiency. Email chains, GPS records, bank statements, suspicious hotel and restaurant charges, inconsistencies in Isabella's hospital shifts. After 20 minutes, she looked up and gave a nod. "The house is untouchable. You bought it pre-marriage. It's yours alone, and with what you've brought me, we can move fast and shield your assets before this explodes." Her advice was direct. Move all joint funds immediately. Protect my retirement accounts. Record every interaction. No confrontations until the legal structure was secured. I left her office and drove straight to the bank. I transferred $110,000 from our joint savings into my personal account, leaving $5,000 behind so it wouldn't seem suspicious. I also made sure that the $160,000 I had invested prior to our marriage, stocks, 401k, all of it, was clearly documented as separate property. Isabella had no claim to it. Meanwhile, my father was making his own moves. He called the corporate office and stripped Leo of all access. No more company car, no more corporate credit card, no building badge. He instructed Brenda, our admin manager, to reassign Leo and lock down everything. By Monday, Leo's keycard wouldn't open a single door, and his company car wouldn't even start. I shut down every joint credit card except for one with a $2,500 cap, just in case she tried to retaliate financially. I also revoked her access to my personal accounts. Every move was calm, strategic, and within the law. That same night while Isabella was in the shower, her phone lit up with a message from Leo. "Been waiting for a moment like this. Can't wait to see you tomorrow at Mom's. Dad's working late, so we'll have the place to ourselves again. Don't forget to bring what you picked up yesterday." It was confirmation. Not only was the affair still active, it was intensifying. I took a screenshot and forwarded it to Evelyn. That text was the final nail. I called my father and told him it was time to set the trap. We were going to host the annual company holiday gala at one of our flagship venues on Saturday night. He understood without needing the details. He contacted my mom and Leo separately and told them I had a big announcement to make, something worth celebrating, something important enough that everyone had to be there, a promotion, a pregnancy, maybe a new acquisition. He let them imagine whatever they wanted. I casually told Isabella about the gala on Friday evening. The second I mentioned Leo would be attending, she stiffened. Her smile faded. "What's this about?" she asked. "Why are you planning a company gala out of nowhere?" "Thought it'd be nice. Some good news to share," I said with a smile. She pushed again. Do I need to prepare something special? Is it serious? Nothing to worry about, I replied. I got the arrangements covered. She didn't like that answer. You're scaring me, Ethan. Relax. You'll find out tomorrow. The next day, Saturday, the annual company holiday gala was held at the Grand Magnolia Ballroom, one of Victor's most elegant venues. I prepped my speech like I was setting a stage. At my place setting at the head table, I placed a manila envelope containing the divorce papers. I prepared a second envelope for my father. This one holding printed emails, including the most damning messages between Isabella and my mother. I also wrote out a certified check for $20,000 made out to my dad. The exact amount Mom had guilted him into lending Leo during one of his financial emergencies. He deserved to be made whole before everything blew up. Isabella was visibly unsettled all day. She kept circling me asking over and over what this announcement was. I just told her to wait. I made sure the catering was impeccable, the band was lively, and the champagne flowed freely. I wanted everything to feel as normal as possible, right up until it didn't. Camilla arrived first, gave me her trademark performative hug, and immediately asked where Isabella was and what the big surprise might be. Dad walked in behind her, expression unreadable, and simply nodded at me. 20 minutes later, Leo strolled in wearing a flashy designer suit and his usual smug grin. He gave me a lazy pat on the shoulder as if we were best buddies. So, what's the news, man? Don't tell me Isabella's finally knocked up. Took you long enough, he said it with a smirk, the kind of smile people wear when they think they've won. He thought he had beaten me. Slept with my wife, snuck around behind my back, and gotten away with it. Isabella barely touched her food. She picked at it, eyes darting between Leo and me. Camilla filled the silence with useless chatter about the weather and hotel gossip, but the room was electric with tension. After the main course was cleared, Dad raised his glass and smiled. Well, son, he said. You've got the floor. What's the news? I stood up, reached for the envelope, and handed it to Isabella. I do have something to share, I said, keeping my voice steady. These are divorce papers. The room froze. It was so quiet I could hear the clinking of glasses from the bar and a distant murmur of the band. Isabella's face drained of color. What is this? My mother's hand flew to her chest like she'd been shot. Ethan, what on earth? What are you doing? I didn't even look at her. I turned to my dad and slid him the second envelope. This one's for you. Emails between your wife and mine. Months of messages planning an affair between Isabella and Leo. Mom's been helping cover it up the whole time. Dad opened the envelope. He knew what was in there already, but as he read the words on the page, his fists clenched. Leo jumped up so fast his chair hit the wall. You snooped through her emails. You're insane, man. That's illegal. You can't use that in court. That's what you're worried about. I said coldly. Not the fact that you've been screwing my wife. Isabella gasped. Ethan, please just let me explain. Don't, I cut her off. We're done. My father flipped to the page where Mom instructed Isabella how to time her lies with his golf games and corporate meetings. When Mom reached for the documents, he yanked them away. Camilla, he said, his voice shaking with rage. What on earth is this? She started stammering. Victor, I was trying to protect the family. Protect it? You engineered its collapse. She tried to shift the blame. She's the one who seduced Leo. I was just trying to keep it from becoming worse. Leo laughed. Actually laughed. Come on, guys. Ethan works 70 hours a week. Isabella needed attention. I just filled in the gaps. That was when I realized I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to fight. They had buried themselves. All I had to do was walk away and let the wreckage speak for itself. That was the moment I snapped. I didn't think. I just moved. I came around the table and hit him square in the face with everything I had. I felt his nose collapse under my fist. Blood splattered across his ridiculous designer suit as he fell backward, crashing into a display case of vintage hotel memorabilia on the way down. Mom shrieked like someone was being murdered. Dad stood slowly, calm but terrifying, 6 feet 2 inches and over 220 pounds of fury. "Get him out," he said coldly. Leo was groaning on the floor, a pool of blood soaking into the plush carpet. "You can't be serious, Dad," he tried to say through clenched teeth. "I'm dead serious. You're done here. Fired. Cut off. You're no longer my concern." Mom gasped. "Victor, he's your child." "No, Ethan is my son." And this just proved that blood doesn't mean a thing when you betray your own family. Isabella burst into tears, practically choking. "Ethan, please. The baby could be yours. Then we'll get the test done, but it doesn't change anything. You and we're finished." I handed my father the check I'd prepared. "This is for the loan you gave him. The one he'll never pay back. You deserve better." He stared at the check, then looked at Leo bleeding on the floor, then at Mom, who was trying to pull him up off the ground. His voice was like ice. "Camilla, get your coat. We're leaving. You and I need to have a long conversation." After they were gone, the ballroom fell into a silence that somehow felt louder than the chaos had. There were broken glass shards on the floor, a dining chair in pieces, blood on the carpet. The divorce papers still lay open on the table. Isabella sat there frozen, eyes red. Makeup smudged. "What now?" she asked in a whisper. "Now," I said without emotion. "Now you pack your things and get out. This house was mine before we ever met. You've got until tomorrow to find somewhere else." She didn't argue, just nodded and walked out of the ballroom, likely heading to our home. I stayed where I was, surrounded by the debris of what used to be my life. But for the first time in months, I felt clear, calm, free. The divorce was quick thanks to the evidence. Isabella tried to push for alimony, but Evelyn, our attorney, shut it down hard. Given her full-time income as a nurse and the mountain of documentation I had, her request had no merit. Georgia may be a no-fault state, but infidelity still plays a role in dividing assets and awarding support. In the end, she walked away with her clothes, her compact car, and nothing more. The DNA results confirmed what I already suspected. The child wasn't mine. Isabella moved in with Chloe, the event planner who had conveniently helped orchestrate this whole mess by covering for her so-called shifts. According to mutual acquaintances, Chloe got tired of her fast. Isabella became unbearable, always crying, expecting constant sympathy, and relying on Chloe to pay for everything. Within 6 weeks, even Chloe had kicked her out. My dad, Victor, followed through on every single word he said that night. Leo was officially terminated from the company. He was banned from every hotel property and blacklisted across the Atlanta hospitality network. Dad made a few calls to industry contacts. Word spread fast. Leo couldn't get a job anywhere in the only field he knew. The financial faucet was shut off, too. No more luxury car payments, no corporate credit cards, no cash handouts. For the first time in his life, Leo was on his own, and it hit him hard. 3 weeks later, he got arrested for driving on a suspended license with expired tags and no insurance. He'd been dodging car payments and couldn't afford coverage. He spent 2 nights in county jail, and Dad refused to help. "Let him sit," he told me. "Maybe jail will teach him something life never did." Isabella tried to reinsert herself several times. Emails, texts, even showing up at my office one afternoon demanding we talk. Said we could work through this, that we could rebuild. I blocked her everywhere after she sent a message blaming me for the affair. Claimed I worked too much, didn't meet her emotional needs. Classic cheater's logic. Turn the blame around and act like the victim. But what truly satisfied me was watching how my father handled Mom. He didn't just explode, he went tactical. Turns out he'd had suspicions for a while. Noticed odd spending patterns, strange behavior. After learning everything, he had Evelyn conduct a full audit of their finances going back 2 years. The findings were brutal. Mom had been secretly supporting Leo with roughly $4,000 a month. Hidden credit lines, cash advances, even a second mortgage she'd taken out behind Dad's back. She was draining their finances to prop up Leo's lifestyle while playing the perfect housewife. 6 weeks after the gala, Dad filed for divorce. He was 58, done being lied to and manipulated. Mom lost it, screamed, begged, pleaded, but he didn't budge. This time, the divorce wasn't quiet. It was war. Dad kept the business, the primary home, and most of the joint assets. Mom was left scrambling. She hadn't worked in over a decade. With no savings and no fallback, she ended up taking a retail job, at a big box store of all places, making $15 an hour. The same woman who used to bark at store clerks now had to bag groceries for people half her age. Leo moved in with her into a cramped 2-bedroom unit across town. He tried multiple times to crawl back, begging Dad for forgiveness, saying he'd learned his lesson. But Dad's response never changed. You chose your path the day you stabbed your brother in the back. Now walk it. The last I heard, Leo was on the graveyard shift at a home improvement store, stocking shelves and unloading freight trucks, barely scraping by. Isabella had the baby, a daughter. She's living in a cramped 1-bedroom apartment, working extra shifts just to afford daycare. Life has been brutal for her, and I won't lie, I don't feel sorry. But then, a few months ago, they showed up at my door. Mom and Leo, uninvited. What they asked next almost made me laugh. They wanted me to do the right thing. They wanted me to claim Isabella's child as my own, put my name on the birth certificate, pay child support, and even help with Leo's legal bills so he could get back on track. Their justification: we're still family. Everyone makes mistakes. The child shouldn't suffer. And of course, you're the only one who can provide stability. The audacity of it all still blows my mind. Ethan, my mother said, you need to be the bigger person here. That little girl needs a father figure. And you're the only one capable of giving her a good life. I looked her straight in the eye and said, get off my property. Don't come back. I made it clear I wouldn't be paying for anyone's mistakes. Least of all the people who tried to burn my life to the ground. They ruined enough already. They wouldn't get a second chance to ruin what came next. I had them removed from my property by the police. The officer who came out listened carefully, reviewed the evidence I had, and told me he'd seen plenty of family chaos like this. He said I was smart to keep detailed records and to walk away for good. It's been 8 months since that night. The night everything in my life shifted. I won't sugarcoat it. The first few months were brutal. I was 34 years old and suddenly felt like I was rebuilding my life from the ground up. Everything I thought I knew about loyalty, about family, about trust was shattered. But letting go of the people poisoning my life gave me room to breathe and space for better things to grow. My relationship with my father has never been stronger. Shortly after the dust settled, he brought me in as a full business partner and handed me a 40% share of the company. We've been discussing expansion, moving into commercial property management, starting in Savannah, and maybe even branching out to Nashville. The company is thriving now. With Leo out of the picture, we've stopped losing clients and started attracting bigger contracts. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I started dating again. That's when I met Maya at a logistics conference in Dallas. She's an operations specialist who focuses on supply chain optimization and large-scale distribution networks. She's driven, financially independent, and doesn't expect anyone to rescue or manage her. she's everything Isabella wasn't. Grounded, goal-oriented, self-sufficient. Being with her feels like breathing fresh air after years of suffocating. I still hear bits and pieces about Leo and Isabella through industry contacts. People in hospitality and healthcare who remember what happened. Leo has burned through 4 different jobs in just 8 months. He still carries that entitled attitude, believing he's above actual work and can't understand why no one wants to keep him around. As for Isabella, she made a public plea for help on social media asking for money to cover baby-related costs. It backfired. People who knew the truth about what happened dragged her in the comments, calling out her lies, her choices, and how she tried to play the victim after blowing up her own life. My mother has made a few weak attempts to contact Dad through mutual friends, claiming she wants to rebuild for the sake of the family and asking when he'll stop punishing her. Every time he shuts her down, his message hasn't changed. You made your decision when you helped destroy Ethan's marriage. Now you can live with what you chose, just like the rest of them. If there's anything I've taken away from this entire experience, it's a lesson I wish I'd learned earlier in life. But sometimes you don't really understand it until it costs you everything. When people show you who they really are, believe them. Don't wait for more evidence. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt over and over. The first time is enough. Family isn't just about sharing DNA. It's about having each other's backs. It's about loyalty when it counts. Respect when it's hard, and doing what's right even when no one's watching. Leo and my mother failed that test spectacularly. My dad and we proved we knew what family actually means. And honestly, the sweetest form of justice hasn't been confrontation or revenge. It's been watching their worlds fall apart while mine finally comes together. Watching Leo struggle to survive on minimum wage. Seeing Isabella drown in her own mess with no one left to manipulate. Knowing my mom now has to work retail and answer to the same kind of people she used to look down on. That's justice. And for me, that's more than enough. As a final symbolic gesture, on Victor's next birthday, I surprised him. I had secretly located and fully restored a vintage long-haul truck, the exact model he drove when he first started his trucking business. It gleamed in the sunlight, a testament to his hard work and legacy. When he saw it, his eyes welled up. Then, I handed him a framed certificate. It was the incorporation document for a new logistics company I had just launched, a venture specializing in high-value cargo transport. His name was proudly listed as a founding partner. Dad, I said, this is for everything. For believing in me, for teaching me what true integrity means. This is our future, built on trust and real effort. He pulled me into a tight embrace, a silent understanding passing between us. It was more than just a truck or a business, it was a recommitment to the values that truly mattered. Lessons from this story. Always believe people when they show you who they truly are. Betrayal by close family members carries severe and inevitable consequences. True family is defined by loyalty and support, not merely by blood ties. Meticulous preparation and evidence gathering are crucial when confronting deceit.